You're listening to the Hero Up Podcast with Jim Simcoe. Thanks for being here today. Let's get rolling with the show. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Hero Up Podcast. I'm Jim Simcoe with...
I'm Blake Bender.
Come on. Come on.
My name is Blake Eugene Bender. Glad to be back.
Thank you so much. We cannot have...
I hate so much that you...
It's the best thing ever. For anyone who's listened to this before, you know how much I love having Blake say his middle name, which is Eugene. That's awesome. All right. So today we have a huge topic that we were just talking about how big it's going to be. And this is the Hero Up Guide to Happiness, 18 ways to hack happiness in your life. Yeah, it's kind of big.
It's a big one.
It's a big one. But before we get into that, a couple of announcements. You know, the new site is up. It's heroupmedia.com. And the coaching site is up, which is just jimsimcoe.com. We're going to be doing a Hero Up Summit again, probably in April. We'll get some details. Blake just dropped his marker as I said that.
Got it.
And then we're also going to do a destination retreat sometime this summer, possibly in Hawaii. And then the coaching program launches in a couple of weeks. So anyway, let's get into the podcast. So when I was thinking about like topics last night, I was thinking like, you know, really, what is this all about? Like, what are we all trying to get to? Like we've done podcasts on focus and on mindset and confidence and whatever. And really, what's the goal? And the end all goal is really to be happy, right? And be happy in our lives. And I started thinking about like, what makes people happy? What are the things you can hack your happiness? What are the things that I've seen people do in their lives to hack their happiness? And how do we, what do we do about them? So with that, we're going to use, well, first of all, what do you think about that? Talking to the mic.
Oh my gosh. You're putting me on the spot.
Take your time. I'll come back in like an hour.
Yeah.
You tell me how it's going.
I'm at a loss for words only because I feel like one can you ever really say that you're happy and you made it to happy and you're going to be happy forevermore? And I feel like happiness is a matter of taking it moment by moment, day by day, and hopefully you have more happy moments than you do sad moments or whatever other emotional experiences you can have, the entire range. But yeah, I feel like it's not it's too simple to say like, I'm here, I'm happy now, and I'm just going to stay here and stay happy now, because I feel like it's just a process that has to be taken on every single day. Yeah. And it doesn't end when you're 70 and you retire and you join an assisted living facility, which by the looks of you and that sling in that shoulder is coming up sooner than you realize.
Blake's got jokes today,
Jim
people.
Was actually,
the jokes are free.
Jim is not allowed to drive himself, so he was
everybody in the world.
Dropped off today.
Just after Blake just told me a whole bunch of secrets, now he's messing with me. Yes, I was dropped off today. I could drive next week though. I'm pretty psyched about it.
We'll see. I don't know if they'll.
But I'm half Asian, so I think that they're like making me like go a couple more weeks.
I don't like to generalize. I just assume you individually are a bad driver.
Me individually, I'm actually a pretty good driver. But I think everyone thinks three things. They're a good driver, they're funny, and they're a great dancer. I think
which do you think is least likely that you
in
are?
Mine?
Yeah.
Oh, dancing, definitely. I don't think I'm a good dancer at all.
Well, I'm hypocritical
think so.
For you to said what you just said then.
Yeah, I think that's probably not my thing. What about you? What do you think out of those three, what do you think you are?
I'm probably the worst driver.
Are you a bad driver?
I don't think I'm a bad driver. I just don't think.
So you think, no, it's not that you think you're a bad driver. It's that you think you're a great dancer. Yeah. You think you're a great dancer. It's super funny.
Such a good dancer.
So different than what. That was a very offhanded.
What was the other one?
Great dancer. Super funny.
Oh, I'm fucking hilarious. It's easily the driving thing.
Yeah,
it's like it's reflected by how little I know about cars. Like the parts of car I know are pretty much the wheels and the doors,
steering wheel.
Like, but beyond that, my vocabulary when it comes to cars is pretty low.
When I first got my Prius, the very first Prius I had, which was like 10 years ago, whatever, I drove it for almost 2 years before I knew that the engine was in the front of the car. I thought since it was half electric that the engine was under the car or behind it. And then one time I had to open up the hood, the front, at the hood, right? The hood in the front part. And I was like, oh, that's where everything is. Like, okay, that's cool. So don't tell anybody.
Let me ask you. So you're just going to let all of our 3 listeners listen to this?
We might have more than 3 listeners. Our listenership is actually growing. So thank you guys all for listening.
Thank you for listening. If you're out there, we appreciate you.
The listenership started growing once Blake started joining the podcast. So I wonder what the correlation here is.
I can imagine that people are just signing up with this great information we're providing them 5 minutes in. How long are we into this thing?
We right now?
Yeah.
We're 4 minutes in.
4 minutes in, and there's already been so much, so much.
We've lost so many people already. What were you going to ask me?
Have you arrived at happiness? Are you happy in this present moment? Or are you like
right now? I am. Yeah. I mean, I think happiness. I was thinking about it last night. Like, I think it's like it's a pursuit.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I came to last night, and I'm sure some philosopher somewhere else said that long before me, but I kind of came to that. And I was like, it's a pursuit. It's a goal. It's something that we're all trying to get to, and I think people get to it way easier than other people get to it. So that kind of set the foundation in my head of like, okay, well, how can we help people get to it faster than other people? Because I think I see probably the way you do, you see people in your life who are like, wow, like, man, if this person just stopped like
getting in their own way.
Yeah, getting in their own way on this one topic, man, they'd be way closer to being happy. If they just like change this one thing, they'd be that much closer. So I think that we all do it. I mean, I know I do it. And I know you do it. I mean, look at how you're dressed. I mean, Jesus, of course you do that. No, I was kidding. But no, I think that's the thing is like, so for me, I think it's a pursuit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's get into these 18 things.
Let's make it happen. I'm ready.
All right. Let's pick a number between 1 and 10. And I'll tell you, if you get closer to the number than me,
I'm confused as to what we're doing. Are these questions?
No, these are statements. So these are 18 ways to hack your happiness. We're going to pull them out of the hat thing or the microphone bag thing, and then we're going to talk about them. And you're going to pull it out and say, "This is what this means to me." We'll talk about it. Yeah, I know. As soon as I said pull it out, it just sounds bad.
Couldn't help it.
All right.
You're going to pull it out. Anyway. Number 3. Number 3. I don't know. Understand.
Number 3. Oh, sorry, you lose. It was some other number. So pull it.
What? Okay.
So you pull it out first.
Okay.
Pull it out. Pull one out first. There you go. What does it say?
Get out of shitty relationships.
All right. One of the keys to happiness.
Yeah.
Getting out of shitty relationships. What does that mean to you?
We were literally having a conversation before we started recording. How?
Why don't you share, like in general, however, or share as much as?
Well, it's just the idea being that somebody's capacity to move forward in their life in whatever direction they want to go is probably directly related to their ability to have uncomfortable conversations and their willingness to kind of navigate those things. And some people have a really hard time looking somebody in the eyes, as I look you deeply in the eyes right now.
That was very deep.
And telling them whatever's going on in their world, even if it is a little bit uncomfortable. But if you're able to do that with the people that are important to you, then I think you'll be able to move forward and get, inch your way closer to happiness, whatever that means for you.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's huge. I think I noticed that so much last year of just being in so many of these toxic work relationships that I was like, why am I in these?
Scott,
Scott, man.
Scott is his desk mate. He's exhausting.
Oh, God, he's exhausting. I love him so much. Yeah. I love his bald head.
Yeah, beautiful head of his.
Beautiful head. But no, I noticed that. And it reminds me of like, when I lived in LA, I was dating this girl who on paper, like lined up perfectly for me, right? Like she was super smart. She was actually like literally a nuclear physicist. She was used to make fun of me.
You can't even say it.
Because I can't say nuclear.
Yeah.
She used to make fun of me. And, from a great family, super athletic, really, nice or whatever. And on the surface, you would think that like, hey, this is a relationship that makes a lot of sense. But man, it was a toxic relationship. Like we argued all the time. I was always in a bad mood. She just, I'm not even saying it was her, but for me, that was a shitty relationship. And I noticed that like once I got out of it, I like felt so much better and felt a general sense of relief afterwards. And then ended up coming down here and meeting my wife. So I think that's a big piece. I think like part of hacking your happiness is like, dude, get out of bad relationships. Like you don't have to do that. You don't have to stay in it. For anyone who's listening, like you don't have to stay in a bad relationship just cause.
Yeah.
There's I think that people think that there's honor in it. And I think that there isn't.
Yeah.
That's my statement right there.
I'm all I can think of as you're saying this is like, I've been very fortunate to not have to have too many of those breakup relationships because my wife and I have known each other since we were 15.
Right.
But I did have a girlfriend when I was probably 16 years old. And I was just laughing to myself because I was like, how do I do in those situations? I was like, I don't know. Because most recently, this girl was a little out there and she was having some issues with her friends. And again, we're 16 years old and she's like talking on the phone with me and she's like, and how do you like, and so what do we do in trying to navigate some problem? And I was like, so honestly, I want to break up. And she was like, what? I was like, I want to break up. And she was like, okay, bye. And I immediately hung up the phone and called Jessica, my wife. And I was like,
want to get married?
I did it. I broke up with her. Thank gosh.
And this is when Jessica was still a friend?
She was still a friend.
God, you were so clueless for so long.
Oh my God.
Unbelievable.
So
that's another thing. We're going to do a whole nother topic on how to not be clueless in relationships. And basically it'll be like, we'll run through the 100 things Blake did and we'll just tell you just do the exact opposite.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's go to the next one. Ready? Let's see here. So the next one is, this is good for both of us. Find meaning in what you do or do something else. I think this is a big thing. I think that, people, you spend so much time working in your career, invest in your career, actually at your job or at your business or whatever it is at school. You might as well enjoy it, right? Like we have so many opportunities in the world to do really what you want to do and make money doing it. You should enjoy it. You should enjoy doing it. Like I enjoy what I do. I know it sounds like, you really enjoy what you do.
Sounds that way, huh?
But can you imagine can you imagine what it must be like for someone to drive to work every day, have to be at their office at 8:00 and do a job that they can't stand and do it for 50 hours a week and then like live for the weekends? I mean, think about that. Think about the horror of that.
It's kind of a tough call because I know that there are a lot of people to do that, and some people I admire because they are in a position where their work is a means to an end, and their end might be supporting their family,
right,
or any number of things. But I feel like it really just depends upon your orientation towards that thing. Like you might be a garbage man, and if your perception is that I'm taking care of my family, but not only that, like it is really important that communities have really high quality sanitation, and if you view that as like an important role within a community and are able to see that bigger picture, like I don't think the world can have every person is a life coach and every person pursues whatever the heck they want to pursue. Cause I think that there are too many boundaries that
there's honor in that.
Artificially.
I think to your point, there's honor in that. Someone doing that. And if they see it and if
it's
they
just
like
hard to find it. Like I think that people don't always have the framework or the perception of like why it is that they're doing what they're doing. Or let's say that you work construction or you're building roads and infrastructure, like that is very much serving your community,
right,
and allowing people to get to work seamlessly and live the lives that they're wanting
be
to
safer.
live. And I think the same thing is true in what I do. Like I don't love people squatting, but it kind of gives me a vehicle to connect people, build relationships, allow them to take care of themselves, pursue performance if they want to do it. And I recognize that that's an important role in the local community. And some people are going to do really magnificent things on a large scale and change the world fundamentally. And other people are just going to touch the folks who are immediately around them. Yeah. And I don't think that like one is better or worse. I just think that the world needs both of those types of people in those positions.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's a good point, dude. Nice. All right, let's move on to the next one. God, Blake got so deep on that one.
I know, man.
He's going to.
I only got like 3 of those in me a month.
Really? So. Well, we have 18, so you're gonna step it up on these next ones.
Oh my goodness!
Here we go.
Avoid comparing yourself to others.
He says this as he's looking me up and down. What do you think about that? Man. And this is a good one for you because I mean, hey, you run a gym.
I run a gym. It's funny because I always feel so conflicted on this front because comparison to others, I think intuitively and inherently, you kind of want to not have folks who are hyper focused on that comparison, and I think that it can facilitate a really like low self-esteem if very few people can be the top percentage of anything. Like that's kind of how
why it's the top percentage.
That's why it's the top percentage, and that's how statistics work and the law of averages. And I know alternatively that I am in the position that I am and I have such a good life and it kind of probably at different points in time came through the process of comparing to others. And I know that negative experiences can be the catalyst for personal growth and change. So I'm not somebody who wants to make a blanket statement like never compare yourself to others, because I think it can be the catalyst for realizing where you stand in this world and understanding what are realistic expectations for your life. But if you get consumed in that pursuit, I think it can be really really trying to your psyche over time. And so that's just like kind of the fine balance. And I think that you have to figure out what is the appropriate balance, because if you have this attitude like, oh, use the analogy that makes most sense to me, which is in the gym or in physical, fitness and stuff like that. If you have this, idea that, oh, I have absolutely no interest in knowing what anyone else can do. Well, in some cases, it can be a really positive thing to chase somebody who's a little ahead or a little bit behind you, and it can allow you to strive for more and expect more from yourself. But if you're just like so consumed by, oh, this guy did this and I can't even do that, like, it's going to wear on you over time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's true. I mean, I remember like when I first started working out and seeing Mike Nichols, who is same age as I am, same weight, same height, same everything. And he was like doing something in the leg. He might have been squatting or front squatting, whatever, but he was doing such a huge amount of weight. Yeah. I looked at that and I was like, wow, like I can't do anywhere near that, but it made that number way more attainable than if I had seen his name on the board and it said, Mike Nichols squat 275 or whatever it was. I think that like I would think that guy's got to be younger or way out of reach or whatever. But seeing him to be like basically my same body type, I was, it makes those kind of goals more achievable. I think that so that's interesting. Your perspective on it is interesting. I really think that like really the comparing yourself, you should really only be comparing yourself to yourself and what you can do. Like how do you maximize your own DNA and what you're doing in your life? And I think of like social comparisons. Like this person has a bigger house than I do. This person, makes more money than I do. All of that stuff. You're laughing. What are you laughing about?
I was going to say, bigger house, bigger something. And I got a smirk.
And we're back.
I apologize for bringing that.
Blake is back to the shallow end of the pool with his flippers on. Yeah. No, but it's true. It's like, I think it's such an insidious thing. I'm sure I'm saying that name wrong or that word wrong, but it's so hurtful to yourself when you do that, when you look at someone else, or if I look at like some other dad who drives like some gorgeous car and I drive a Volvo, which isn't a bad car, right? But it's just, and as much as you can avoid the negative aspects of comparing yourself to someone else is a good thing.
Do you think it comparison moves humanity and moves the world forward in a negative or positive way, or both?
Wow. You kind of blow my mind a little bit now. Do I think it moves it negatively, or I think healthy, this is going to be a total cop-out answer, but I'm going to say it anyway.
It is.
Healthy comparison moves the world. What I'm talking about is, and honestly, when I think of this example, I think of like a woman who is, maybe a little bit overweight, who goes to the bookstores in the magazine aisle and sees 50 supermodels on every magazine covers.
Who are actually only like 15 years old.
Right. But like compares herself to those because they are being exhibited as the norm.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's what I mean. It's like, that's where it gets dangerous, is like when we're setting these unrealistic expectations on people, like, oh, this is the norm. Like go to a gym and this is the norm, have 6% body fat. Like this place, as much as I love it, is not the norm. Like the norm, in the real world is there are more people like me who have got,
6+% body fat.
I was thinking a way to say it without actually saying it. Let's say that. Let's say 6
more than 6%.
More than 6% body fat.
Yeah.
But like I'm the norm in the regular world.
Sure.
So you go into this environment, and that's just not it.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it could be harmful, because I think then a lot of times people will be like, well, I'm not even going to try.
Yeah.
Because I'm so far out of what the norm is.
Yeah, and that's the danger with it. Yeah.
Then you're not even trying for it.
And that's where I think it becomes kind of a gray area, as when you have absolute, claims of like never compare yourself or always compare yourself or whatever.
Totally.
It doesn't allow you to take advantage of the fact that like humans are, they become driven individuals when they're pursuing something that seems like very, like it needs to be this combination of attainable, but stretch your potential.
Right.
And so on some level, I think that like that comparison can, again, move humanity forward to answer my own question, but I think it's a very dangerous thing. And you, from what I can tell, and I'm going to regret saying this, are a pretty well grounded individual.
This is it. The podcast is officially over. I've achieved my goal. Blake gave me a compliment.
But
Thank you.
but if I don't know that 16-year-old Jim was necessarily as grounded as, how old are you again?
I am 48. 16-year-old Jim was a lot different.
And there you go. And I think that you again have probably had experiences in which you compared yourself to somebody else and you kind of learned those lessons the hard way. And I very much believe in you gotta go through those things in order to kind of get to the stage that you're at. And I'm sure that we're going to continue to battle, not over comparing ourselves to others, but a little bit of comparison will keep some perspective for you.
Yeah, cool. All right, next one. Here you go. Pull from the microphone bag.
All right, I got one. Avoid overthinking like we've been doing every one of these questions.
What do you think about that?
I'm going to try to not overthink it. And as a constant non-overthinker in my life, I think I was blessed with.
That's the beauty of you, though, dude. That's one of the best things, right?
It's kind of funny, and I'm a little bit paradoxical in that some things I try to be mindful of, just not letting small frustrations get the best of me, and I'm human like anyone else, and sometimes they do, and they linger, and they seep into my psyche, but some people have a really hard time, and the anxious person on average is going to sit there and dwell on every little thing to an extent that's not, manifesting in a positive way for them. And so fortunately, again, I'm not somebody who's burdened too heavily with that, but there's a reason that I have a long answer for every one of these questions so far. And it's because I do think about these things, and I find myself in a position because I work in own a gym and work with people that, I'm not selling fitness, I'm selling happiness, and people think that they're going to find happiness by being more fit or having relationships and all, climbing the social hierarchy ladder that is being the best in the gym or whatever. And ultimately I'm kind of selling happiness, and we have to figure out how to navigate those things. And so we find ourselves answering these questions pretty frequently.
Yeah, I agree, man. I have nothing to add to that. That was fantastic.
Next question.
Let's go right to the next question. I'm not even going to overthink that. That was such a great answer. All right. So the next one is slow down your roll.
Why don't you take this one?
I'm going to take this one because I'm not even sure I'm using this phrase correctly when I was doing these notes.
Slow your roll.
Slow your roll. Oh, Jesus. That's what
Idiot.
it is. All right. So slow your roll. So my thing about this, and one of the reasons I thought of this or it popped in my head, was that everyone goes so fucking fast all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I get 200 emails a day, right? I do however many emails, meetings. I'm always on the go.
Mm-hmm.
You're the same way. Almost everyone I know, we're all going so fast. And I feel like part of the key to happiness is just slowing the hell down. I noticed in the last 5-6 weeks after having surgery, I was forced to slow down.
Yeah.
And I was forced to kind of spend time by myself and spend time just kind of with my thoughts. Very dark place. But it's really good. It was really almost refreshing and relaxing to just see the mania of everyone going through the holiday stuff and then getting back to work and finishing the year and then starting the year and going deliberately slower in many areas. I found that and it's weird, but I almost was happier. Even though my shoulder was all banged up, I felt happy. I was just, so I think that's a big thing. It's just slow down. There's not this, I feel like everyone acts like there's this end goal that they're trying to get to for their life. And it's, next Tuesday. And it's this is a long
road.
It's a long road.
You and I are sitting here in beautiful San Diego in the sun.
Yes.
On a Friday at 2:00.
Yes.
Should we mic bump to that?
Yes.
Cheers.
Good mic bump.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
On to the next one, huh?
Yeah, on to the next one. Here you go.
All right.
Let's see how Blake does on this one.
A growth versus a fixed mindset. I'm going to let you take that one
Okay.
because I saw you had notes on this.
Yes. So basically, in short, there's this woman named Carol. I can't remember her last name.
Her name's Carol.
Carol. She was awesome. I'm going to look it up right now. Her name is Carol something out of Stanford, and developed this theory about a fixed versus a growth mindset. And it's Carol Dweck. a researcher at Stanford.
He has no idea how to pronounce that.
I don't. It's Dweck. I think she's a genius. Like I've read a lot of like this kind of stuff. I think she's a freaking genius. I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name, but I think it's what you came up with. Is awesome.
Think we can get her on the podcast?
You probably could. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sure we could.
Next
Actually,
week.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
But anyway, she came up with a thing that basically like a growth mindset means like you think of things in opportunities. You think that that you've got skills that you can develop and you're always growing and you can get better and better and better. A fixed mindset basically says that, look, I was born this way. This is exactly who I am. My skills, my intelligence, my levels, nothing's changing. So I'm not going to have any further opportunities than what I can get within my bubble. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a very difficult place to live in. Like, so if you think you can only be, X in your life, that's a very fixed mindset, and you're sort of beholden to all the things that are involved in whatever bubble you create. But if you adopt a growth mindset, what you realize is like, there's a lot of opportunities for you in life. And you are going to continually get smarter and learn more and get stronger and get better and better daily. It's just a more optimistic way to live, mm-hmm. right? And it's a more optimistic way to be. And I think that that's one of the keys of, being able to hack your own happiness is really like adopt a growth mindset. Don't mm-hmm. think of things as just being fixed and static. That's probably it.
I'd like to share something with you on that front.
Please.
Which is that I have been familiar with this term for quite a long time. And my wife, who's a speech therapist, may or may not have been the one who shared it with me originally. But every once in a while, this kind of comes up because despite the vast, vast majority of the people that I work with here at my gym, Stratum Fitness, are awesome people that I enjoy being around, who are doing everything they can to, make progress and take the information that I share with them and move forward. You do every once in a while encounter people where it feels like you're kind of talking to a brick wall, or that, they don't have the time of day for you, or just like, they're just falling on deaf ears. And that can be very exhausting and frustrating for somebody who wants to do the best you can. And I feel highly responsible that if people are going to spend money for access to my facility and coaching and things like that, that it's basically our responsibility that even if 100 times they've already proven that they're not able or capable or willing to take that information from us and move forward or implement what we have, I feel it's my responsibility. If at any point I feel as though I've given up on them and I'm not willing to try that 101st time, then I need to end that relationship and fire that client. Right. Fortunately, I'm pretty strong-willed, and or that person parts ways on their own, for example, because they probably weren't getting value out of the service.
Right.
But I'll have to be reminded of that on occasion, and I'll have these conversations with my wife of, this is really frustrating me right now, or I'm really trying to get through to this person in this way. And it's a really good reminder to me that I have an obligation to that person to keep trying with them. And, if you don't have a growth mindset and you have a fixed mindset, then that interaction is no longer going to facilitate growth.
Right. And you're going to give up.
And if you've given up, then what are they paying for? You owe them your money back.
Yeah. And if you're a quitter, don't listen to our podcast, right?
Yeah. Don't get off of this thing. You got to fix mindset.
All right. You can take the next one.
All right. It feels so important pulling these things from this bag.
It really does, doesn't it? It's awesome.
Handle stress like a badass.
Yep. How do you handle stress?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm pretty good with handling stress.
I think you are too. This is a good one for you.
Maybe I give the impression that I'm good at handling stress. I'm sure that sometimes it's effective, sometimes it's not. But how would you even define, am I good at handling stress? Like, am I able to move on with it? Because sometimes I let it dwell for a while and I'm just like, man, I need to move on from this, but I can't.
I think of like, to hack your happiness, you have to be able to, I'm looking at the bushes. That's how I focus. Blake keeps looking. I'm looking right past Blake and he keeps looking at what am I looking at? And I'm just basically staring at a bush.
I thought you were gaining insight from these bushes.
No, I'm not. The bush is not talking to me.
Okay.
I think that handling stress is such a big part of happiness because shit happens all the time. Yeah. And I think that people get caught up in stuff and they either have a tendency to make way more of a big deal of it than it needs to be, or they don't make any deal of it at all, and they should. But I think that the ability to handle stress, the ability to handle various calamities or whatever that happen in your life and move on, we have a truck going by us right now, or a bus, is really key. Like, and I think the happiest people are able to do that. And if you don't, like, you probably see it, like, you go to a coffee shop, go out to lunch, and you see people who are like, they're talking too loud and they're talking about their husband and how freaked out they are, or this, or I hate my job. And people who tend to complain a lot, like, they're just not able to manage it. And I'm not saying that their stress or their issues don't warrant it, right? But it's just like, at what level are you spending time complaining about it? At what level are you allowing the stress to multiply? Like, is there a way to can you figure out a way to minimize it in your life versus just allowing it to consume you? And I think that's the biggest thing.
Are you the same, better, or worse at dealing with stress than you were 20 years ago?
20 years ago, I would say I am better in almost every area.
Damn. Damn.
Yeah. I'm not fucking around, dude.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I would say I'm not perfect, and I still have my moments, but I feel like having a growth mindset, because I feel like I have a growth mindset. I feel like I've been able to grow through a lot of that stuff. And instead of being like, oh, fuck that guy, like, they screwed us over, da 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 da, I might still think that, but I'll say, okay, well, what's their reasoning? What's my exit around this? What are my opportunities for growth? Can I change this? I read something in a book by Dalai Lama once, and he was
name dropping.
Yeah, well, me and the Dalai go way back, dude. He's a hella good basketball player.
Yeah, I bet.
But he said something to the effect of like, look, if you can change it, then great. Then don't worry about it.
He did not say that.
No, he didn't say it like that. But he said something like that. Yeah. Like, if you could change it, great. And he's like, and if you can't change it, then you also shouldn't worry about it because you can't do shit about it.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't say that either. But that's always kind of sort of struck me. Yeah. And I'm always like, oh, that's kind of like the ideal for me stress wise. Like, if I can't do anything about it, I may not like it.
Yeah.
And I think that's another big piece of it too. Is like, for me back then, for me to deal with stress, if I said, oh, I'm not going to let this affect me, then it was me like giving up and saying, I'm going to accept it. That person's right. I'm wrong. Now I'm kind of like, well, no, that doesn't make them right. It also doesn't make me wrong. It doesn't mean I have to like it. It just means I don't have to let it consume my life.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to, we're like you, like I'm married, I've got kids, and I don't want to, I have a relationship and an obligation to them to be like the best version of me I can be. And it's also in the world. Like, I want to be like the right example. So I don't want to be the guy who's totally stressed about shit. That gets me. So
right on.
Yeah. There we go. All right. Moving right on. I feel like we did good on that one.
Yeah. You did good. I didn't really have much to say.
Wait, is this for me or you?
I think me.
Oh, here you go.
You can read it.
No. You do it. No, pick out whatever you want.
I want that one. Choose success over perfection.
Yep.
Choose success over perfection. Do you think you're a perfectionist?
No. Do you think
sometimes
you are?
I'm not a perfectionist to a fault. I'm like I got the minimal shit satisfactorily
You're
done.
a minimalist.
But I don't know. I feel, again, like this is never it's never a black and white type of thing. I think that there are people out there who do some incredible, inspiring shit, and the world's a better place because they're perfectionists, and that probably wreaks havoc in many facets of their life. And I don't desire to be that person. But I think that most people in their pursuit of happiness specifically are probably going to have fulfillment if they can get an appreciation for the small things and not be consumed by having to be perfect at all times in all situations there. Because man, who has time for that shit,
Dude, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
With the expectation of perfection that is undoubtedly, cast over you at all times. How do you deal with it?
Yeah. How do I deal with that? I learned in my early 30s, I learned two things. Well, maybe more than two things, but the two things I can remember right now. I learned that like I didn't always have to be right. And what I really wanted at the end of the day, career-wise and just life-wise, was to be happy. And that came from being successful in what I was doing. Mm-hmm. So I didn't care about I realized like, it doesn't matter if I make a shitload of mistakes. Like if the end is like, if I say like, okay, I want to go, make enough money to go surf in Hawaii for 2 weeks, on a vacation, it didn't matter how I was able to figure that out. It just mattered with like, well, was I successful in that?
Mm-hmm.
Great. And I learned in marriage more than probably anywhere else that like, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Mm-hmm. And I think at the beginning of our relationship, I was very focused on being right.
Yeah.
And like, even many times when I was wrong, and really at the end of the day, like, I don't feel like I have to be right anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm also like, I also feel like very much like you, like I have no problem making fun of myself. I have no problem like, I don't have a veil that I'm trying to put up with people or for people saying like, oh, I'm this great, perfect guy. Mm-hmm. And in many ways, probably like you, it's super freeing.
Yeah.
Right. Like you see people who post on Instagram, they only post good looking pictures of themselves and great pictures of their food and all that other crack and, stuff. And I don't do that.
Don't post crack on Instagram.
No, crap. I meant to say crap. So yeah, that would be my answer.
Cool.
All right, moving on. Let's see here. Next one. Be optimistic.
Hey,
I said it with a big smile. This one's easy. Why not just be optimistic? Life is actually not that bad.
Have you always been a glass half full kind of guy?
Except when I was going through the sexual abuse stuff. Yep.
That'll do it to you.
Yeah, that'll do it to you. That'll really kind of crush that glass.
And what is it for you? Because you were able to shape that mindset and become optimistic from what I can tell. Was that conscious, or did that just happen naturally over some different life experiences? Like, I mean, because I'm sure that there are people who are naturally not, wired that way, but clearly it's malleable if you weren't, now you are.
Yeah. I don't know. I think after that experience, I kind of got to a point that I just wanted to choose life as being like, there's a lot of good shit in the world. And this horrible thing that happened was something that happened. It doesn't define me. And it's not like I can use it as a crutch and be a victim my whole life, or I can use it as fuel to motivate me, in other areas. And just honestly, like, I think being optimistic in our day and age it's such a cool thing to be. Like, there's no reason not to do it, right? Because if I'm optimistic on something, right, then that entire time I'm being optimistic about it, I get a benefit being optimistic. Yeah. And if it goes bad, it goes bad.
It went bad.
It was going to go bad anyway, right? And so, like, and if I'm pessimistic the whole time,
it was definitely going to go bad if you're pessimistic.
It's definitely going to go bad. And then, so I like to think of it as like, well, I hope more things in my life go right than wrong. And I'm saying this sort of flippantly, but I have a lot of things to be optimistic about. You know what I mean? Like between family and friends, and even with the bad shit that's happened, even shit with my shoulder. Like one of the very first things I thought about after I found out I was going to have shoulder surgery was like, first thing in my head was like, thank God it's not worse.
Yeah.
Thank God it's not like, thank God I didn't tear 5 things and I'm out of stuff for, because again, I don't have to like the fact that I'm out for 6 months or whatever it is, but thank God I didn't tear in the middle of summer. Yeah. I missed the whole half a summer surfing. Like, there's a lot of things to be optimistic about. So I think it's a mindset. I think you have to choose to be that way. Now, you're one of the most optimistic people I know. Why do you are you in my head in my thoughts? Outwardly, you seem to be very optimistic.
I try to be. I don't know. It's a constant battle. We work on yourself. I probably am more naturally inclined to go that direction, but like yourself, I have a lot of good shit in my life. And, now that for example, I've gone through enough experiences and very fortunate to most of them not be like horrifically bad. Like everyone has like small shit that's uncomfortable along the way, but those are kind of the things that shape you. And I too, like even just using the example of an injury, like I'm dealing with something in this like high hamstring glute adductor something or other. And I think to myself, like, man, it's such a pain in the ass trying to deal with this, but alternatively, I'm going to be so much more equipped to help somebody else through that process, whether it's specifically dealing with that injury versus, adopting a mindset that allows me to be productive and allow them to empathize more. And so I just think like there's something to be gained from that. Like it's, a little bit of a drag to have to make adjustments on what I would ideally like to be doing every day, but there's something good on, silver lining in most things.
And I wonder if because you've been largely optimistic most of your life, is your life this way because you've been optimistic most of your life, or is it just
the old chicken or the egg situation?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how it could possibly not be both of those things. Like your experiences shape you, but you shape your experiences. And so like,
because most of the people I know who are super pessimistic, I'm not very successful.
Do you ever actually like try to think about the whole chicken and the egg situation, and then your head just like hurts and goes?
Because then I go back to rule whatever it was says avoid overthinking. No, I don't. I don't do that. Yeah, you have a lot of philosophical debates in your head, and I don't have any of those.
I saw a really hilarious GIF. I'll share this little story yesterday. I was going to get an apple or something from the fridge, and my wife was making zucchini bread, and
you guys fell out of a rock.
I said something about like making a joke about sticking my hand in and like, oh yeah, I tried the zucchini bread, like it's almost done, and she's like, you just stuck your hand in and like tried it like a barbarian? Like, weren't you worried about burning your hand? And I was like, no, it was fine. And you know, of course, I didn't actually reach in, and I was joking to myself like, man, she has such little respect for me and my intellect. And I was, you know, I thought that was funny. And I came across, I was trying to send her a GIF. That was a Michael Scott from The Office GIF.
Oh, okay.
Even though I'm having a personal conversation, that was the only feasible way I could communicate with her. But I came across a different GIF anyway, and it was a scene of Michael Scott sitting on a swing set at a playground because he's about to go bankrupt. And he's like, sometimes when I'm really feeling down, I think about a man on a standing on a faraway star, you know, thinking about all there is. And it was just so funny, the ignorance of this, you know, him thinking he's standing on a star far away. That's
awesome.
Anyway,
he's the best.
My wife has no respect for me.
Yeah. How was the zucchini bread?
So good. Oh my gosh.
Was it good?
It's crazy good.
Did you bring any in?
No, I didn't bring any in. I'm gonna eat all that shit.
I don't even like
zucchini bread or banana bread.
Dude, are you kidding me? That's like saying, do you like good things or horrible things? Do you like joy or do you like sadness? Of course, banana bread.
Have you had zucchini bread?
Yes, I've had zucchini bread.
It is so good.
What kind of question is that? Have you had zucchini bread?
If you go east like 2 states, I promise you, most of the country's not had zucchini bread.
Oh my god! This is a different topic.
I'm going to bring you a piece of zucchini bread.
Yeah,
we're going to start next time's podcast. She's going to blow your mind.
Yeah, can't wait for that one. Here, your turn. Zucchini bread, man.
Pissing me off.
I mean, that's like, I'm going to make a squash bread. Yeah, that sounds great. Just a freaking vegetable.
It tastes nothing like it. Be kind.
No, motherfucker. Let's skip that one. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Me? I don't think it's good to be kind at all. I think sometimes people...
You don't think it's good to be kind to your general...
People frustrate you, and sometimes you just want to, you know, shake them a little bit, but I don't know. I guess it's good to...
Have you ever gone somewhere, lunch, wherever, and bought like another table their dinner, or bought like another couple?
I am way too poor to do that.
Or bought someone a coffee in a coffee line?
I don't ever go and get coffee. I'm very frugal, and I don't spend a lot of money on anything outside of like the bare necessities.
Clothes. Yeah.
Well, I'm wearing clothes that you gave me a gift card to literally yesterday. Thank you, by the way, for clothing me.
It's lovely.
Putting pants on my body.
Oh God. You say it like that, it just sounds so weird. You don't think, I think being kind is like kind of an important thing for your happiness.
I like that. But like, something I kind of have a fundamental issue with is the idea that in you being kind, you acting kind makes you feel good. So you're actually doing it from a place of self.
It's 100% selfish.
Okay. But I guess that's okay. Like,
it's 100%. Like we were at, I was having lunch at this sushi place up the coast, and it's like in Oceanside, which is like this, you know, used to be this marine area. And there were these 4 Marines having lunch, and you know, I was sitting by myself doing my stuff, and I got done and I went and I bought them lunch, right? And I bought them lunch just because like I always like to buy military guys lunch if I see him. It's like no big deal, whatever. And I left and I didn't tell them it was me or whatever, but I wrote a little note saying thanks for your service. And that was 100% for me. Like for them, great. I'm
probably
sure,
nice.
Yeah, I'm sure that they like appreciate it or whatever. But for me, that's like, I can do something a little bit kind for someone. It's not going to break the bank, and it's something I can do really easily, and it's simple, and I know that they got a lot of it. I bought a woman behind me in a coffee place a couple months ago. This older lady. I bought her coffee. Dude, she lost her mind. She was so excited. There's like a $3 coffee.
That's like $3. That $3 goes a long ways. That's kind of cool.
But to me, it was such an easy way to make someone else's day. I got way more out of it than she got out of it.
Yeah,
you know, like, and it's just like, so I think like things like that. Like I think that stepping out of your comfort zone and doing some of those things on occasionally, it's good for the world.
Yeah.
Raise the vibe for the world.
Something that comes to mind for that, like I do enjoy YouTube, as you know.
Yes, you're a big fan of YouTube.
I will say, like, little small gestures like that, in some cases, you really have no idea to what extent they're going to like impact the person on the receiving end of them. Cause like for you, it might be $10 for that,
something happened to me yesterday.
What do you got? Let's go.
You want to hear now?
Yeah, sure. People know where I'm going with that.
Okay. Yesterday in this place in the gym, I'm not going to say who, someone said that I looked really handsome with my new beard. Made my day. Made my week.
A little white lies, nice fine here and there.
No, but it made my week. It was so nice. Like, she didn't have to say anything nice. And just like
it was a lady.
Yeah.
And narrows it down.
It was even more amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, she probably didn't think anything of it. She probably did not think anything of it when she said it. And then, but for me, I was like, man, I felt pretty good about myself for a little bit.
Lit your little heart up.
You lit my little heart up.
Yeah.
So be kind.
But even beyond that, like there are those situations where you read stories and who knows, it's just a story. Maybe it's not even the truth, but somebody talks about, man, I was like on the edge. I was considering suicide. And then I had this one little interaction with this person that reinstilled my faith in humanity and like totally brought me out of that dark place in that moment. 100%. And I just again, you for one person, it might just be a small little gesture of an act of kindness. Yeah. And for somebody else, it may change their life just because you take a gamble on them or whatever. Yeah. Or maybe you're just
I think that's totally true. And you don't know. You never know.
You may also buy like a rich woman in Encinitas coffee that means nothing to her, and she's like, "What is this?"
Maybe
guy?
Not.
Yeah,
maybe not.
It's true,
but you never know. But
that's a good mindset.
That's
optimist. You're an optimist.
I'm an optimist. That's something my I'm not going to say who, but somebody said to me once, because like I have if I see homeless guys, I usually will buy them food or give them a couple bucks if I have, and that's a whole different topic. Some people agree with that, some people don't agree with that. Yep. And somebody said to me, well, like most of them are probably ripping you off, and they're probably like I don't know, ripping you off.
All right.
And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, so let's say 90% of them are ripping off. So 9 out of 10 guys are ripping me off. That means one guy is not.
Yeah.
And so we're helping one guy, and it's like not a huge impact on my life, making him, a sandwich or whatever. So I don't know. I think it's all right.
You're saying there's a chance.
I'm saying that there's a chance. Whose turn is it?
You go. I don't know.
My turn. All right. We only have like 6.
I like that. That's very optimistic of you. That's a good perspective.
All right, let's see what we got here. Right now we have focus on your health. This one I'm not gonna go too much into, because we've talked about this so much, but part of happiness, man, you got to be healthy. Mm-hmm. You can't be sitting around eating cheese puffs, drinking Diet Coke.
Have you ever read the book Tuesdays with Morrie?
Yeah. Good
kind
book.
of a famous
Long
book.
Time ago.
It's one of the 3 books I've read also.
Nice.
And
so Tuesdays with Morrie, my book. What's the third book?
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable in an uncomfortable
moment. Tuesdays with Morrie.
Yeah, Tuesdays with Morrie.
Throw me off my groove. First, I was ready to like blow right by it and not be phased, and all of a sudden, you threw me off my.
Go ahead, Tuesdays with Morrie.
My train of thought was that it was kind of a cool example to see somebody whose body was not allowing them to do what they wanted to do and deteriorate. And this basically the story of an old man who I think was a professor at a university, and he had a really close relationship with one of his students, and the students finds out he's passing away from an incurable disease. And so he goes back and, spends every Tuesday. I was like, what day of the week is it? Tuesday. And, just kind of learns and takes in all this information. And, that's something that has always stood out to me, because I don't think very many people are able to live their best life, if you will, if they don't have their body supporting them on that mission.
Totally.
And yet some people are still able to orient themselves and have the framework and able to kind of get beyond that. But I think that's a pretty incredible thing, and very few people probably possess the tools to do that type of thing.
Yeah, totally agree. So focus on your health. Your turn.
Tuesdays with Morrie. Good
Tuesday
book.
Great book.
Express gratitude. I'm not taking that.
You're not taking that one?
No, you take it.
Oh my God.
Did you just hear my whole Tuesdays with Morrie spiel?
Yeah. I think expressing gratitude is important for happiness. You need to be able to share. You need to you need to tell people that you love them, or that you are thankful for something, even if it's in a freaking fucking horribly messy way. Mm-hmm. Messy. Like I was thinking about this last night, like, cause I had, because this is the second time I've been back to the gym in 6 weeks. and went to dinner with Eric and Katie afterwards. And we just had such a good time. We're like laughing, and it was just awesome. And I was like so grateful for like, and it wasn't even like a big deal. It wasn't like we like had like some monumental thing happen or whatever. It was just like great. And I, you know, afterwards I was like, oh, this is so great. Like we
he gets really annoying in these situations, as you can tell.
Really do. But like we all three of us were sort of very, we were like stumbling.
I'm literally watching a car run into a fence as we speak.
Oh, that's lovely.
Hopefully not running us over next.
But it was really kind of a cool experience, and we've all kind of clumsily said, hey, this has been awesome. Yeah. And it's just like, I think expressing gratitude is great. It forces you to remember, like, you know, that there are things, again, going back to be an optimist, that the things you should be grateful for, you know, and that they're wonderful things in the world. So that I'm going to leave it like that. I think
I actually do have something to add on that.
Oh, here we go. Let's go. Let's hear it.
A couple years ago, I don't know where I had kind of picked it up, but I picked up the habit of changing the phrase I appreciate it to I appreciate you. And my wife made fun of me for it and she would say like, oh, I appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
And I stopped doing it.
Yeah.
Because she made fun of me and it hurt my feelings.
Good.
And
it's a weird phrase.
But I feel like it expresses so much more what I want that phrase to embody, because if you have somebody who is in the subway line who's making your sandwich and you're like, yeah, I appreciate that, you know, little small task that you just fulfilled that you're getting paid to do, versus like, I appreciate you as a human being for somebody's got to make my sandwich and
someone's got to feed daddy,
and you did a great fucking job at it. Like I feel like that expresses what you know, I want to come across a little bit more accurately.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to start using that again, despite my wife making fun of me for the term appreciate you versus
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
I appreciate you, Jimbo.
I appreciate you too, Blake. I can't say it with a straight face. Yeah. Here you go.
Next.
My
wife's a bully.
My wife's a bully.
Do work you love. Do good. Make money. There's another line there.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Do you do work you love?
A lot of times I do.
Yeah?
Yeah. A lot of times. Sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't.
And you do it anyway, huh?
Yeah. But to get to, you know, to get to a point where I can just do the work that I love doing.
Yeah.
I think that's the key. I mean,
do you think it's possible to always and only do the work you love?
Nope.
Me neither.
Definitely not.
Definitely. Sometimes when I'm refilling the toilet paper or we're out of toilet paper and I have to go and buy more toilet paper at the store because we're like super out of toilet paper.
Yeah.
I don't love that work, but I do it because there's other things about it.
And that's big. That's a bigger picture because you're doing it because you know, you have invested interest in where that toilet paper is going.
People get mad if they don't have toilet paper.
Yeah, they get mad at that.
Messed up.
No, I think it's important. I think you got to do. I think part of being happy is do what you love. That my mantra for a very long time has always been like, do good, make money. It's simple as that. Because I don't think you can just do good. I think you have to make money unless you're independently wealthy, which I'm not. That's it.
One day though, maybe.
One day.
This podcast blows up.
This podcast, man. Let's go, listeners. You got something on that? Come on.
I do. It's basically that. That's something that I've had to adjust my mindset. So coming from a young kid who is bombarded with the idea of like money is the root of all evil and like you're being selfish if you're like chasing money and things like that.
Right.
I have fundamentally changed my perspective on that over time because I feel like if you don't look out for yourself, then you're in no position to help anyone else. And I think about that in the context of my gym and my facility. And it's like, if you're treating this place in a way that's not going to be sustainable for you, or if you're making decisions that are going to not allow you to support yourself, even if, you know, some of the gym members like it or something like that, I just know that there's an end in that. And ultimately, if I go down and can burnt out and don't want to do this anymore, that means that those people are also not going to have that, you know, access to that service. And so that's something that owning a business has fundamentally changed my perspective on, that I really just didn't have that before when I was like, have a business that serves 100 and something people and all that good stuff. So anyway,
it's true.
Do good, make money.
Do good, make money. That's it. All right. So we have 3 more. Oh no, we don't. We have 5 more. Grab one.
Oh shit. Rapid fire.
Rapid fire. We're rapid firing these.
Can we cuss on this podcast? Because
we've been
feel
cussing
like
nonstop.
I swear on it all the time. And then I don't know, strengthen your strengths.
this one's easy to me. Do more of what you're good at. So don't, farm out or hire someone to do the things you're not good at. Work in a job that you're good at.
What if you're good at something you don't want to be good at anymore?
Well, then you go back to happiness hack, the one we just talked about, and do something that you like doing.
So prioritize that over the things you're strong at.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to say that. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, I think like you might be good at talking to somebody in, like your coaching business or something like that. And you might be really great at having that one-on-one interpersonal conversation, allowing people to kind of grow through that. But if that is not going to serve your overall goal, then it's going to be short-sighted for you to kind of continue pursuing that. So I would definitely prioritize in the same way that you just proposed.
Cool. All right, moving on. Here we go. What's this one? Let's see. This one is, figure out how to forgive. I think this one's important. I think that the ability to forgive people who have wronged you is key.
I just forgave you just now.
Just for that? Just for saying that?
For all you've done.
No, I'm serious. I think it's like, because if you're really mad at somebody and you're holding all that anger and that angst and everything else, and it's really just, everyone knows this, but it's really just hurting you.
Yeah.
So I'm not even saying you have to forgive someone a certain way or that you have to forgive all people who've ever wronged you, but you got to be able to figure out, like, how do you forgive? Like, what's your process for doing that? Mm-hmm. Because you're going to get wronged. People are going to fuck you over. That's just part of living on the planet. Like, it just is what it is.
It's very true.
Yeah. What do you think?
Forgiving something is definitely a skill set that has to be cultivated if people intend on interacting with other human beings. And people are...
How are you at that?
I think I'm pretty good with it. Like, I feel like I'm easily pulled against it. And sometimes if you think about it, negative experience you've had in your past and you're just like, oh man, that piece of whatever. But I think when I usually don't carry that around a whole lot with me. And usually if you're successful at one of our earlier tips, which was ending bad relationships, then you're able to move forward. And once that relationship is over, then hopefully you don't have to have that person in the forefront of your brain. Because I imagine it can probably be absolutely poison if you're like in that, poison to your happiness, at least if you're in that all the time and are incapable of breaking it off,
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. All right, cool. Move on.
Me?
Yeah, you.
We going?
We have 3 left.
Get in the zone. Action meets awareness. I was going to do the auto zone thing. I was saying that too. Action meets awareness. Get in the zone. What does that mean? What do you mean by that?
So for me, I think of that as like to be happy. Like the more times you can kind of be in the flow of stuff or in the zone of things, that just adds a certain level of happiness to your life. So I mean, and this is work, relationships, or whatever. I'll use an example in the gym. Like if you're, when you're working out and you're really focused and it's just going well, and you just feel like you're in that zone where like everything, you're super aware, like hyper aware of what you're doing, and all your actions are kind of lined up with what you're thinking and your motivation and everything else. A better example for me would be surfing. So no, it's serious. Like
you just pivoted so hard.
I really did, because I was trying to think of like a better example, and I thought like, okay, like surfing. And the times when I've been really kind of in flow. I remember this one time I was in Hawaii for a wedding, and I was surfing, and I couldn't do anything wrong on the board. Like I couldn't. Like if I wanted to jump off the board, ride it upside down and backwards, I probably could have done it. Like I just could not.
You're a really good surfer.
No, I'm really not. That's the funny thing, is I'm really not that good at all. But I was just such in a zone that like, and I was like very much focused. Like I was very aware that whatever I was thinking and in my actions was just kind of happening. And it was just such a cool place to be. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you felt that when you've done stuff in here or competitions or whatever, where you just like, so I'll use the example of you and Eric when you guys did that challenge with that one guy Josh gave you guys.
Just another walk in the park.
Were like crushing it. But I mean, like you guys were like definitely in the zone, fully like your actions, and it seemed your awareness was like.
I would just use the term present. Like whenever you're present totally. Doing something, I think like that term flow is really frequently used nowadays. But to me, that really just means like whatever you're doing, you're completely immersed in it, and you're not thinking about planning or doing
Anything
something
else.
later, or there's no anxiety surrounding that. You're just
Right.
like completely engaged in that action at the moment in time.
Yeah.
And you can be in flow when you're just eating like a freaking amazing meal.
Yeah,
and-
totally, dude.
Or
Totally.
you're having this awesome conversation. Mike
Mhm.
Bump,
Mic bump. Do my
so in flow. Yeah.
I can't do it.
He can't do it. He's not
But
in
no,
that.
that's a
Mike
good-
Bump was not in flow.
That's a very good point. Like when you're in flow or you're in the zone, it doesn't have to be like in this crazy thing. It could be like you're having like the best apple.
Can I even go in as far as saying that I think the amount of time that you spend in flow is going to be very, very directly correlated with like how happy you are as a person.
Without a
Because
doubt.
as we've already said, your happiness is not, it's a pursuit.
Right.
And I feel like I'm closest in that pursuit when I'm doing something that I'm completely immersed in and engaged in and interested in.
100%.
And you can, I've even heard things about like some people are in flow when they're just like in an assembly line and they're performing the same task over and over, but just like as efficiently as and effectively as possible. Like it's not really a task that we put on a pedestal and would say like, oh, it's an amazing thing that you did such a good job in this assembly job role. But in just being present and engaged in that moment and doing their very best, that you can be that. And I think that you can find happiness because very few people get to be Instagram models. And, that's the picture that's painted of what happiness looks like. But I think that you can be happy if you just are trying to do the very best job you're doing every single day. And if you get to spend a lot of time synced up with that, then you're probably pretty happy.
Yeah, dude, totally agree. More time you spend it, the better it is. All right, 2 more.
Hi there. Saying hello to Walker By.
Yes.
Help others is the next one. Oh, I should have helped her with her whatever she's carrying there. I'm an idiot.
Help others. So what do you think about that?
Help others. Well, do you think you are a helpful person? I was helpful today when you couldn't get out of the car because your shoulder's broken.
Yes.
And
my shoulder's not broken.
You need a lot of help right now, don't you?
I do.
And I helped you with your bags.
Yes.
I try to be helpful.
Yeah.
Last night, my wife was overwhelmed with having to prepare all this stuff for a staff breakfast thing.
Right.
I'm getting backed up into by a car right now.
I'm almost positive this car's actually not going to hit us. Sure, we're good.
And I thought to myself, I can be helpful right now. I'm going to go help her with the dishes, even though I had made dinner and like, kind
you
of
weren't contractually obligated to do
I was like, damn it, I'm going to go help her right now.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did because she's probably happier in a small way because I did that.
Yeah, definitely,
previously.
dude.
And I don't know. That's all I have to say on the subject. Do you go out of your way to be helpful?
Yeah, I kind of do. I think I do. I think most of the time. Sometimes I go out of my way not to be helpful.
To be unhelpful?
Yeah. But I would say most of the time I go out of my way to be helpful. I think it's just a good vibe in the world when you're surrounded by people who are more helpful than not. It's just a better thing. And I have a whole thing in my head where I want to be like a good human on the planet. Mm-hmm. And I think that there are a lot of like, if you think of human beings in total, there are a lot of, there are some bad people and there's a shitload of neutral people. There are some good people and there are, a few unbelievably awesome.
You're trying to be great, huh?
No, I want to be above the neutral line.
Do you think maybe you're comparing yourself to others in that situation?
I might be, but I want to be above. I want to be above the neutral line. Like I want to be like, yeah, he's okay.
Yeah, I like that.
So I
hope that the small positive dent I make in the world offsets all of like the carbon emissions and like the energy and stuff. I like sap up because it's a lot. And I eat a lot of food, so like that's just a lot of solar energy that went into growing that food.
Well, work on being helpful. All right, the very last one. This is the very last one.
Me? Oh,
yeah.
What a privilege.
I'm just basically having you pick up from now.
What a privilege. Enjoy the little things in life.
Oh, perfect. What a great way to end on. What do you think about that?
Man, I try to enjoy the little things in life.
Yeah, you do.
And it makes me happy when I do those things. Yeah. And when I am losing sight of that, it's probably because I'm not in flow, and it's probably because I'm, not entirely engaged or my life isn't in focus. And so what is life but a collection of the little things that add up over time? I mean, I say that and I'm being a little bit, like jokingly.
No, but that's actually a good point.
That's exactly the case.
What's the last little thing that you really, truly enjoyed?
My wife's zucchini bread last night, which is delicious, and we're gonna get you some because it's crazy
bread.
good.
It's not I can't beat.
It's really sweet. Is the zucchini bread you've had savory?
No, it's zucchini bread. It's made from zucchinis.
And yeah,
They put it in bread and call it a dessert or a drink or something. It's just not
crazy good. All right, whatever.
Anyway, all right. So we're gonna end on that one. I think you're right. I had a green tea somewhere a couple days ago. It was amazing. It was so amazing. And I remember drinking it. It was iced green tea. It was so good.
I call bullshit.
It was so
green
good.
tea was amazing.
It was
oh my god.
Iced green tea.
You got to try zucchini bread, and you're telling me green tea was amazing.
Green tea's way better.
Agree to disagree. I just want to say I don't forgive you for. I'm going to wear that burden all around for the rest of the day. That you actually that you think green tea could be something that was that incredible.
It was amazing.
Oh,
well, it's a little thing.
It's impressive that that's a really little thing. Like,
yeah, it was
that
awesome.
Is so small. Okay,
it was fantastic.
This podcast is over.
This podcast is over. Thank you guys.
I enjoyed doing this. By the way,
this has been really fun. Thank you guys for listening. Anything else?
Nah, that's it.
That's it.
All right.
You want to leave?
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Thank you all, listeners. No, seriously. Thank you guys for checking us out. And thank you, dude. This was awesome. Let's do one more mic pump. All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
I hope we don't break the mics.
Me too.
Hey, thanks for checking out the podcast today. Really appreciate you guys listening in. If you like what you heard, please leave a review on iTunes. It really helps us out. And you can always check us out online at heroupmedia.com. Heroupmedia.com. Talk to you guys soon.